Hi, my name's Astra. Two things. First, one, I'm sorry, I'm a VTuber. I know a lot of people think that's cringe, but that's not what's important in this video. If you really hate it, you can just minimize the screen and listen to what I'm gonna say instead, because the words are what's important in this video. Two, I'm sorry if you hear any noise in the background. The people I'm living with are very loud, and there is no getting through to them to be a bit quieter. So yeah, if you're new here, I'm assuming you are if you're watching this, but I am an artist and I go to lots of conventions around the state of Florida, and I do booths at Artist Alley. And you know, I figured for the past year I've been making little vlog videos to go along with it, to just, you know, talk about my opinions about the convention and offer suggestions, because yes, that is how that information should be taken. It is all opinions and suggestions, because I've never run a convention, like I'm sure most of you haven't. Yeah, so anything I say in those videos is just, again, what suggestions, because because it's what I think should be happening and what I think should be done. I could be completely wrong, you know, and it can be a completely stupid idea. This video is not that. I don't want to call it a call out video. I'd like to think of it more as an iteration of the events that I witnessed take place this weekend. So I guess we should just get right into it. So this past weekend, I attended an event in Fort Myers, Florida, called the HeroCon. I was not originally going to sign up for this event. That being, they were in my Instagram DMs and they were, you know, telling me, asking me to sign up for their event. And, you know, it came across as a bit desperate. Not only that, I wasn't sure if the event was to my demographic. I, you know, draw a lot of stuff that's anime themed, or just like anime otaku culture, and you know, it doesn't appeal to those people who like superhero, Marvel, DC, you know, Star Wars, that stuff like that. So I always make sure to pick very specific events when I sign up for them. That being said, my friend had a rollover table from the previous year. What was it? So yeah, that's the only reason I decided to go. They were like, please come to the event with me. And you know what, I resigned myself. I was like, yeah, okay, you know what, I'll go, I'll give it a try. I'm probably not gonna make a lot of money. I can just go and hang out for fun. I said that. I didn't know at the time how bad it would be. Oh, and to my friend with the table who asked me to go. So they were going because the previous year, the HeroCon was supposed to be held, and it got canceled due to a hurricane. So the people running the event were like, okay, well, we'll just roll over your table for next year, and we will give you a $25 refund if you know, just stay and roll over your table to next year. So that's why they went in the first place. So I get my table assignment. It's in the back of the room, the very back corner of the room, and I was like, I'm not gonna do well here. This is not gonna be a great event for me at all. Again, I was like, I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna hang out with friends, and I'm gonna party and have a great time. And you know, when I say that, like in an event that I don't do well in, I'm like, okay, I can maybe hope to pull out like $400, like $430, like around there. That's usually what I get at events that are pretty subpar. So yeah, that's what I was thinking it was gonna happen. I was just gonna hang out, sell a little bit of stuff, and go home. So the time rolls around. I'm not the person who's like keeps up with times and dates and is constantly checking emails and stuff like that. I'm a very scattered brained human being. So I usually just wait for like my friend to be like, yeah, we're doing this at this time in this place. I even for this convention, I forgot to request off for work, and I had to, call out 2 days. I wish I was at work instead of at this convention. I would have made way more money just going to my actual day job. But yeah, but anyways, my journey for this actually starts on Thursday before the event, because in one of their earlier emails, they said, we might be able to set up on Thursday, so keep looking out for that information. So my friend who booked the hotel, they booked it from Thursday to Monday because they were like, oh, I'll probably be tired and I don't really like driving home after the convention. And I was like, okay, fair enough. So as we're getting there, I'm getting to their house because I was going to go to their house and ride with them to the convention, which was out of my way. But I was like, you know what, bestie, let's go. Let's do this. Let's be trapped in this car for 4 hours together. But I get to their house and they're like, hey, did you see the stuff about the setup time? I only remember seeing the one that was like, something about 8 a.m., something about 11. So I assumed the setup time was between 8 and 11 and the show would start around there. No, the show wasn't starting till 5 p.m. So we were a bit confused because let me iterate what the email said for you. So again, the original time was supposed to be at 8 a.m. and the new email said, oh, some people can't make it to that time at 8, so we are pushing back the time to 11. And so I was like, wait, me and my friend were both like, wait, so is it like 8 to 11 or is it 11 to 5? Or and if it's 8 to 11, like what do we just do during that time? Like we didn't know. So my friend sent an email like for clarification, and that was that for that day. We got in our car, we drove. It was, longer than it probably should have been. It was like a 4-hour drive turned into a 6-hour drive. I don't know why it just happened that way. But we get there, we hang out with our friends, we get, Walmart, and we check into our room. I'm sitting there cutting out prints and stickers and stuff like that, getting ready for the next day, because we're not sure, if I'm going to have the time to do that tomorrow, And we still don't know what time we're supposed to be there because there was, again, no email response. We try again the next morning because it's getting close to 8 and we're like, I don't know when we're supposed to show up. So again, they emailed them, no response. That's when I'm like, I'm just going to DM them on Instagram because that's where they DM'd me first. I DM them and we get an almost immediate response. And they say, oh yeah, setup time is going to be at 11, but it's going to be hectic. So don't show up till 1:30. And as an artist who's done a lot of artist alleys, I need as much time as possible. I'm always trying something new. I don't know if my setup's going to work and I'm going to have to tear it all down and try something else. So yeah, I always am like, I need as much time as possible. So yes, thank you for the consideration and telling us not to show up till 1:30. But we are going to get there as early as possible to set up, just in the slight chance that we can get in and do what we need to do with as much time as possible. So yeah, we all get in the car. We leave our hotel at like almost exactly 11, maybe even like a few minutes after, but like at 11. So, we're not like on time, but around there. We get there and there are cars pulled up outside of the venue. And we don't know what to do. We leave our stuff in the car. We are parked across the street at a post office. We're dumb. We thought it was free parking because we don't know how to read. We went back. The sign says no free parking. So, you know, we did a pay by plate kind of thing. But yeah, that's another story. But so we leave our stuff in the car, and so we can find out, you know, where we're going, what we're supposed to do. We walk over to where all the cars are pulled up, and there's a few people standing there. And this is our first encounter with a man named Dan. And a lot of the stories you're going to hear about this weekend, you will hear the name Dan. You know who Dan is by now. I am going to refrain from putting any pictures of Dan in here or any pictures of the assistants, volunteers, because I don't think that's necessary. I don't think we need to be like sharing any information like that. We don't need to start a witch hunt on Dan. But yeah, so back to the events of our story. We get to the event, we walk over to the group and we say, hey, are you guys here for the convention? And one of the ladies is, I'm assuming she was a volunteer. I saw her running around all weekend. She had like straight black hair with straight bangs. And yeah, that's who, that's the only volunteer, by the way, that I knew of this weekend. I know my friend told me there were others, but none of the volunteers were marked. None of them had shirts on. None of them had lanyards on. Not like no reflective vest, like nothing that would indicate them being a volunteer. So yeah, but yeah, again, back to the story. We talked to them. Are you here for the con? And she was like, oh yeah, but we're not allowed in yet. And we say, okay, all right, that's fine. And you know, we don't know what to do. We walk around for a little bit. We get a message. So let me talk about some of the fun parts of this convention because there aren't many. At this point, we walked around the town to kill some time. There was an awesome ice cream place. They sold like adult milkshakes and smoothies. It was called the Love Boat. I recommend going there. It is really great ice cream. I got ice cream and I got a smoothie and it was so good. But yeah, we went and to kill time there. But as we were finishing our ice cream, we get a call from our friends talking about like cars being towed. We thought she meant our car was being towed for being in the parking lot. No, it turns out anybody who was pulled up in front of the convention center to unload was going to have their car towed and they needed to find parking. But yeah, so again, but that was, you know, a little closer. So before it was closer to around 11ish when we first talked to the people before we got ice cream. It's now closer to 1. We sit down and it's, you know, it's getting to 1, it's passing 1, and a group of people are just like, you know what, let's not wait in the heat any longer. We're all gonna go get something to eat. So we go to this place. It is an Al Capone pizza restaurant, like Italian restaurant, and it is the coolest place. The theming was awesome. Everybody, I just got a Coke. But like all the food looked good. This my one of the people I was staying with had got like this chicken Parmesan mozzarella sandwich. I wanted it so bad. I never ended up going back to get it. It is a thing that will haunt me for the rest of my life. But yeah, we finished that. We finished eating. And while we're eating, we're getting updates from people at the event being like, oh, they told us to set up outside, or oh, they're letting us unload, but they're not letting us into the rooms, that such stuff. So we get there, everybody, there's a crowd of people now, and there's lots of people standing outside. All of their stuff's unpacked, just filling this room. And I'm going to show you. I'll show you the video. There is a crowd of people here. So we stand there for a little while, and they start very slowly letting people in. and there's maybe like they're letting like 3 people in at a time, you know, and of course they're gonna do, okay, everybody on the outer walls is gonna go first, then the vendors, then the artists, you know, haha, let's shaft those artists like every other convention usually does. Don't respect those artists, they don't do anything productive. But eventually it kind of becomes a free-for-all. I specifically heard someone say, oh, they're just letting everybody in. And so that's when I went in with my group of friends. So we go in, and there are people everywhere. There was a line formed behind Dan. And he is because I guess the map got changed. So let's take a step back. The reason why we were all standing out there for so long. Oh, I should say, we didn't get into the room until a little after 3. So, but the reason why we were standing out there so long was not Dan's fault. It was the venue. The venue double booked events. So, one of the events was running extra long. They didn't bother to kick them out. And they just let us all stand there for hours. So yeah, when we get into the room and we get lined up behind Dan, we find out that people are double booked for tables. All the map has changed. The map has changed. And everybody is going to get new assignments or something like that. But yeah, we're all lined up. I'm like, you know what, this is stupid. Let me just go look for my table. I get there. There are people like just setting up at random tables. Like they picked a table and prayed. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Actually, this is too confusing. So I go back to my friend who waited in line, and we just wait for, you know, Dan to tell us, you know, where we're going to go. This is the point where I learn that they have employed one of the cosplay guests. And I don't mean employed like, haha, we're going to give you money to volunteer. I mean, they needed this girl to take charge because clearly they couldn't do this themselves. But one of the cosplay guests was running around trying to help the con organizer get organized himself. And that was a mess because everybody saw her as one of the volunteers, and they were all running up and crowding around her, you know, as she's trying to get some kind of semblance of organization going on, like being like, where's my table? Where's my table? Tell me where's my table. But yeah, it turns out my table was not even there, was not even in the place it was supposed to be, because they weren't able to set up the room after the other event finished. So we're having like half the people have to carry and drag their tables over themselves and get organized. Now, this is the part where I'm going to add something a bit personal. I have a chronic illness. Yay. If I were that person, if I had that Karen energy, this is the part where I'd be like, you made a person with a chronic illness stand outside for hours and, you know, set up this event for you and drag all this stuff around for you. Like, but I'm a tough little bitch. I just kind of like dealt with it like I do most things in my life. But yeah, this was, I think, oh gosh, it was probably nearing 4 now at this point where we're unloaded and we're setting stuff up, where everybody is just trying to get stuff. That one lady, because I was supposed to be at the very end of my row. Somebody just picked up this whole lady's table and moved it to the end of the row. It was, yeah, like we were a mess. I think I was still setting up, but the actual attendees who had no idea what was happening, they started getting a bit restless. And so I think it was nearing 5:20 where the guy was just like, fine, just let the attendees in because, you know, that's how you can't have the guests being angry. They're your money, they're your cash cows. So he starts letting in, and half of us are not even done. I don't think I even finished setting up until after 6 p.m. But yeah, pretty slow event. This was day 1. I just chalked it up to it all being very disorganized. you know, and Fridays are never that great. I mean, they're okay, but it's not like that's going to be your main money day. So yeah, I chalked this up to disorganization. Things to note. As I was sitting there, you know, by my lonesome, not getting any sales or anything like that, one of the toilets just exploded. And I don't mean like, oh no, it overflowed. I mean, this thing was a goddamn geyser. It was spewing. It ended up flooding out into the hallway, creating a little stream of water. But yeah, that's very exciting. And oh yeah, a lot of artists, they were just like, screw it. We're not going to wait here. We're not going to wait this long to set up. So we're just going to go home, call Friday a loss, and like, you know, come back the next day and set up. I think a lot of people were still a bit optimistic that, oh, Saturday will probably be better. So this is my second encounter with the Dan the man. As we were leaving the event, we stopped and talked to him. This man, I'm going to tell you, he just looked perpetually tired, like he was about to cry. He was sweaty. He looked like he wanted to run and hide, like every time he saw anybody approach him. This guy, we talked to him about, we stopped and talked to him about parking. And he was like, oh, hey, you probably don't want to park in the place you did today because the road is going to be closed off. So you're going to have to find a new place to park. You're going to have to park in this building behind us instead. And we're like, okay, well, thanks for letting us know. And that's when we get a little bit of we're hee-hee-ha-haing with Dan here, telling, just goofing around and being like, oh yeah, today was a mess, but you know, it happened. He's like, yeah, you guys only lost like 20 minutes of the event. So it's hopefully it went okay. And then Dan, we started joking. He's like, we joked about him taking the money and running. And the next thing we know, he'd be posting on Instagram, on a flight to, you know, the Bahamas, while we're all here scrambling. Unfortunately, that's exactly what he did, but we're not there yet. We're not at that part of the story yet. So we all go home for the night. And you know, well, not home, back to the hotel for the night, and we get some shut-eye. And the next day, the event opened for our vendors and attendees at 8 a.m. to do their initial round of setting up. We get there because we're like, oh, conventions, you know, around always get busy as soon as the doors like are about to open up. So we're gonna get there early so we can get some parking and we don't have to, you know, walk too far to get to the door, anything like that. So we get there around like 8ish, you know, and we walk in, there's not many people there at this point. There are still some people that are coming in to set up, and a lot of them are just missing tables. Like their table is not there. It's just like they're like, hey, where's our table? Like, can you help us find a table? And like the people running the con were just like, oh, it's here. And the artists were like, okay, can you move it for us? Can you put the table in place for us? And the people running the con were like, no, that's on you. So yeah, a lot of us had to do our own manual labor to do this stuff. And I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. I'm always happy to help with this kind of stuff, but it is a little bit ridiculous not to have the room set up before we get there. As people who are not volunteering, we did not sign up to like do that kind of thing. That could be a liability. Like we could hurt ourselves doing that, you know, and that's not a good thing. That's why whenever you go to stores and stuff and they're like, hey, don't touch this equipment, you know, they don't want you hurting yourself. But yeah, so day 2 starts. It is so slow. This is so slow. Oh, to add, while we were leaving the previous night, Dan said there were about 1,200 attendees that are supposed to be showing up. 10 people who pre-registered. I don't know where Dan got the number 1200. Because the most people we saw walking around the event floor were just other people who were running booths, other vendors and artists who were just meandering around. So I have to clarify, for the next part of the story, I was not there. I was not visible or around, or I didn't hear it. But there are several accounts of people directly talking to Dan, and him saying the exact same thing to all of them. One of them being my friend, that at this point I'm just like, yeah, of course it's true, you know. But one of the vendors, they're super frustrated, you know. It's understandable. They get mad and they are like, okay, I'm gonna go get a refund from this man. They go out there to talk to Dan. Dan, I don't know everything he said, but I remember 3 very specific things that he said to everybody. One, that, you know, we need to diversify our merch if we want to sell anything. Fam, I sell fucking VTuber merch, and I had goddamn Obey Me charms. Well, sure, I had a lot of Genshin Impact stuff, but there were like almost no other tables with Fire Emblem stuff, okay? So don't come talking to me about diversifying merch when I'm usually the odd one out who isn't selling, you know, the Chainsaw Man or Jujutsu Kaisen merch, okay? Second, this man said, oh, well, you guys are just charging way too much for your stuff. I'm the person that undercharges for things. Literally just that morning, I was telling my friends I had these wooden pins that I sell for $8, and they all looked at me like, no, that's at least 10. Like, no, you are getting ripped off. And I'm like, I get it, but like, people will look at the prices and then they won't buy it and stuff like that. You know, that kind of thing. So it was just funny. It was just funny hearing him say that. And the third thing he says, well, you're not going to make any money back by selling $3 to $5 stickers. So what is it, Dan? Are we charging too much? Or are we not charging enough? Like, make it make sense, Dan. Also, I sell my stickers for $3. I've had people come up to my tables and buy 40 stickers at once. Like, it's possible, Dan. Like, you clearly have no idea what you're talking about. And this is the part where Dan the man likes to brag that he made like $11,000 at this event, and that he's doing fine, and the vendors are doing fine, and the celebrity guests are doing fine. Like, everybody's doing fine, and we just need to shut up and stop complaining just because we did bad at one event. It wasn't... See, it's normal for maybe like 1 or 2 people to do bad in an event, but not for the entire room to do bad at the event. Okay, so but at this point, we're starting a revolution. Like, all the artists are together. There's a group chat made. Everybody's talking, you know, sharing what they know, what they've heard at this convention. We have started a cult around Jeremiah the Fly, who's just this fat fly who happened to land on the table, and we were so bored. We were like, oh, we have been blessed. We have been blessed by Jeremiah today. He is like the A-list celebrity, and every other celebrity just needs to leave. Oh, God. Yeah, that's how bad it got. But yeah, multiple people go out and talk to Dan, and they're like, hey, what the heck, Dan? What the heck, Dan? So, we're all frustrated. We get to the end of the day. We're supposed... The day ended at 6 p.m. There was it was maybe around like 6:20. We're all just like figuring out what we're gonna do, where we're gonna eat, stuff like that. One of the security guards comes in, tells us we have to leave at 6:20 when the show, ended at 6. I've literally only had that like encounter at like one other convention. And I get it. Like you're gonna close the doors and lock them, so you need everybody out. But like, it takes some time, fam. Like we don't know what we need. We might need to bring some stuff home. Like might need to load things in and out, especially the vendors like who like have to quickly restock all their stuff like every day. But yeah, we're getting booted at 6:20, and we're like, well, that's kind of rude. And as we're leaving, there's a prom getting ready outside. We get booted out for the goddamn prom, but they couldn't boot out the other convention on Friday when we were supposed to be loading in. Like, what is this? At this point, we're all like frustrated. We go out to eat. Again, we are all in this like group chat together, just talking about the nonsense that's going on during the day. And we go home, and we're like, oh well, and we're like, oh shit, like, should we just leave? Like, should we stay? And like my one friend's like, I'm staying the whole day, just in the off chance that I can make my table back. And I said, okay, yeah, no, I agreed with them only because like there were people who were like, oh, I definitely want to come by from you on Sunday. And I was like, okay, well, I want to at least be here for those people. And quite a few artists were like, okay, well, Sunday we're just going to come in, do some trades with other artists, and then bounce. This is where the group chat got a bit chaotic for me, where they were all like, we're all going to band together and confront Dan in a group. I would like to just do anything to prevent artists from looking like the bad guys. Anything that could be taken out of context should probably be avoided. And I don't really think it's best to create an angry mob around Dan. Anything that could be seen or taken as a threat is not something we should be aiming to do. Even if that's not the intention, anything that could be taken out of context should be avoided, and we have to be careful with that kind of stuff. Especially because like if that happens, and there's a chance that like other conventions can see that what we were doing, like what we did, and just be like, oh, let's ban all these artists from like going to another convention because they're going to attack the coordinators if even the slightest thing goes wrong. So yeah, I'd like to like, try and avoid that. But yeah, so day 3 rolls around. We've all pretty much lost hope. There's most of the vendors, artists, not vendors, the artists, they decided, oh, when 2 p.m. rolls around, we're all just gonna pack up and leave. We're gonna walk out. There was pretty much just a sea of empty tables by the time the convention ended. I think I ended up packing up around 3. And then I went and just hung out with my friends because, again, I was all the way in the back corner, and all my friends had somehow managed to be in the front row together. So it was just me by myself, and I'm like, I'm tired of being alone. So yeah. So I pack up, I go to hang out with my friends, and I think the show ended. I don't even remember when the show was supposed to end, but like I think it was like around 5, and my other friend starts packing up. Anybody who's left there starts packing up. And there was a thing I forgot to mention. So again, the rollover tables, they were promised a $25 refund when the when the show got canceled and rolled over. I didn't do that, so obviously I wasn't gonna get that money. But somebody's going around being like, okay, make sure you go get the money from Dan. Like, he doesn't deserve it. Go get a refund. Go to a refund. In fact, a lot of artists were being like, oh, let's do a chargeback on the event on our bank accounts because, you know, clearly it was a scam. Again, I didn't roll over. I wasn't going to try and get money out of him. I'd rather be honest about that kind of thing. Again, avoid anything that could look bad on me as a person. But my friend who was like, oh, well, you know, I'll just, you know, lose the $25 because I don't want to talk to Dan. And it's not worth it. And then our other person who's staying with us, no, he's like, no, I will go with you. We will go get your money back from Dan. I only know what my friend told me, and I'm going to wait for them to put their video up about the situation. Their name is Bornison Sin. Sorry, it's just Bornison. They go by Sin. So yeah, when that video goes up, I will let them go ahead and explain that series of events. But yeah, that was that whole thing, you know. I am now the happy owner of the largest Jeremiah shrine. Whenever somebody would post their fan art of Jeremiah, I would run to the table and be like, I need this Jeremiah. I will pay you money for this Jeremiah. And guys, artists are so nice. Most of them were like, oh, it's not worth anything. You could just have it for free. And I was just like, bitch, you haven't made any money all weekend. You need this. You need this Jeremiah. You need this more than I do. You need this sweet, sweet Jeremiah money. Oh my God. And a lot of us started saying, what in Jeremiah's name? Or just like using his name in place of like Jesus or God. Oh God. But yeah, that was a thing that happened. One thing I'd like to call out, again, try and avoid doing anything that makes the artist look bad or aggressive, hostile, like we're the villains, because I know on the HeroCon Instagram, they posted something like thanking everybody who attended, all the vendors and exhibitors and stuff like that. They specifically left out artists. I mean, I'm assuming that artist was supposed to be included in exhibitors, but it could be still viewed as a slight to us. Like they could still be saying that so they don't have to specifically thank us, because I believe Dan the man was afraid of the artist at that point. He's like, I love you guys. Yeah, I like you guys more than all the other people. And it's like, are you sure, Dan? Do you mean that? Or are you just saying that? But yeah, they put a post like that on their Instagram, and people were immediately like, why don't you thank the artist, Dan? We see you, Dan. I see you deleting comments, Dan. I'm like, okay. And then at some point they just had to turn off the comments on it, and I get it. Dan 100% deserves for what he did, but we should avoid getting hostile or violent, and try to remain as level-headed as possible. But yeah, I know quite a few people are going to make videos or do streams talking about this event, and when they do, I'll link them. If any other of the artists that went to this event want to like comment down below, and we can make like a thread of artists that went to this event, and we can just like promo them and get them good money to make up for it. I think that would be really neat and really cool. If you are an artist that does conventions and stuff like that, please spread this around so nobody else makes the mistake of going to the HeroCon again. I heard that they were going to try and host this event again next year, and they were going to give people a discount on tables if they decided to attend and sign up for next year. I hope nobody did that. I don't think anybody would have done it. But yeah, just in case, if you see the HeroCon in your DMs next year, steer clear of it. Okay, so this is the part where I'm going to address some of the rumors. Just things that are speculation, and I again don't know if they're true or not, so take them with a grain of salt. So one of the things I read was that Dan could have paid to let us in earlier, and that it's his fault that that we were stuck outside for so long and they didn't end the other event. Again, don't know if that's true, but if it is, screw you, Dan the man. Next thing, he didn't pay for advertisement. There was no advertising for this event anywhere. In fact, I think he expected the artist to advertise for him, because he'd be like, oh, here's your PR kit, please try and post the images for the con and before you come and stuff like that, so people will know you're here and can come. And that's just fancy talk for like, we want you to advertise. But yeah, somebody said like, oh, he wasn't able to post pictures up around the convention. Like, he was not allowed to hang signs, and that's why there was no advertisements for it. Again, that's kind of a poor excuse. I mean, there's other forms of advertising, like online, and also like standing signs. You don't have to hang those on the wall. Like, it's silly, it's stupid. And also, like, just around town, there was like, maybe we saw one banner hanging on one street for the convention, and that's it. He was letting in people after a while without paying, without getting wristbands. Like, he's just letting people in off the streets. I mean, yay, less money for Dan, but like, there was no security checking them. That's another thing. Somebody was like, Dan didn't know he needed security. How did you not know you needed security? Any event that's going to have like a number of people at it needs security. On the last day, I think he was actually like afraid he was going to get jumped or something, because he knew how bad the show was going. I think he thought he was going to get jumped, because that was the only day I saw actual police officers, not just security, actual police officers, and EMTs there. So I think he was like, okay, I need to defend myself now in case anything bad happens, and that's why they were there on Sunday. Oh, there was something else. I'm trying to remember. I'm blanking. I don't remember the other thing I was trying to figure out, but yeah, it was a weekend. I am exhausted. I had to drive back home for another 6 hours and then immediately go to my job, because I was like, I already called out 2 days. I can't call it another day. So yeah, pretty much I literally hadn't rested until that night at like 12 a.m. Oh gosh. Oh, I'm sorry to tack on some more stuff here at the end. There was my friend actually attended, like, they were holding a panel, and nobody knew where that panel was. She was asked around the venue, like, oh, I have a panel I'm hosting. Where am I supposed to go for the panel? And the volunteers at the con were just like, ask the hotel. Which I'm like, you don't know where the panels at your own con are? Like, what? So of course, they go over to the hotel, and they're like, hey, do you have any idea where the panels are being held? And of course, the hotel is just like, no, go back to the con. Like, of course, like, why would they know? So they get there. I heard that the panels were being held on the 4th floor of the convention. It was a multi-floor building, and the panels were on the 4th floor for some reason. I don't know if anything else was being held on any other floor. There was like no advertisement for the panels either, like nothing to say where anything was. I also heard there was like supposed to be like $1,000 prize for the cosplay convention, cosplay contest. That's like, I don't know if that was ever true or not. That's just what my friend had heard. I don't think there was any money prize for it in the end of it. But they had them all out in the heat, running around at in the amphitheater, and I heard it was a very lackluster event. But yeah, just, and to throw it in here, sorry, I'm gonna do a bit of advertising. I offer commissions on my Ko-fi page. I'm thinking of offering like a pay what you want sketch commission starting at like $5. If you guys want to donate to that, because I'm planning on moving soon, and I need money. Not only that, I have lots of medical bills I have to pay that I have not even started paying yet. And but yeah, I also have some new merch that dropped, I say. I got some more stuff after the weekend was over, because I don't know if anybody else experienced this, but not just mine, but like, well, so I had a package coming. It was supposed to arrive on the 5th, and it ended up getting there on the 8th, and that's the exact same thing that happened with my friend. Like, they ordered a shipment of charms, and again, it was supposed to get there on like Thursday night, and then it was pushed back to I think it was either Friday or Saturday, and then at some point it didn't even end up arriving until Monday. So I don't know if anybody else had any weird mail stuff, but it was just weird that it happened to us twice. If I had a nickel for every time the mail got pushed back, I'd have 2 nickels, but it's weird that it happened twice. But yeah, that's that. I'm gonna leave my socials. I'm gonna leave my socials in the link below. Sorry, not the link, the description. I'm sorry, I'm tired. Like I said, I'm tired. But yeah, I'm gonna leave my socials in the description below, like I always do. And again, if you see anybody talking about the HeroCon, please just spread the information around, so everybody can learn about what's happened, and just support artists, man. You just gotta please, like, a lot of us don't make a lot. A lot of us, the only way we do make money is through these events that we go to. So yeah, just any little bit helps. It doesn't have to be me, even though I'd like it to be me. But yeah, just especially if you see around people who are like, when they went to the HeroCon, maybe drop them a few bucks here and there, or at least a follow. A follow helps a lot in the long run. But yeah, thanks for watching. Sorry if any of the information was not quite right. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of other people who are going to document or talk about this, and I'll make sure to also include them once those get shared around. Again, thank you for watching. Bye bye.